It's been very, very interesting. We've been watching the numbers. We've been trying to catch you up. This one here, we wanted to make sure it was full of all the different things that we're seeing that would affect you here. And in fact, we even went even beyond that, and even brought in a couple of races that they're not necessarily races that we're voting for here, but they would affect us in the future. So I think that we're running a little bit behind us because it just took so long to put together the data. The data is starting to come through, and it's actually twisting a little bit, and we'll see what happens here. So let's just go ahead and, first of all, I'm Eric Swanson. This is Mojave River Valley News. This is our special election results. Sorry, I should have caught that in the beginning. Hey, you know, if you're watching us on YouTube, or please subscribe and click the little the bell there so you can see when these videos are coming up. If you're on Facebook, make sure you like us. So anyway, if you have any comments, now one of the things that was interesting, somebody talked about, was that we had the wrong date on a lot of these screens. So we think we've fixed that now. I hope we have. We'll see here tonight when we start going through this. You can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on YouTube. And so if you have any questions or anything, there's been a couple comments, but I think we'll be able to cover those without even going into any detail on that tonight. So let's go ahead and go into our next screen here. I just wanted to touch on some of these races that you may or may not know about that are happening. Remember that the top two go into a runoff in November of almost all these races except for some of the county races. So right off the bat, you can see that there's Gavin Newsom and Brian Daly. This is the two that are going to be on the November ballot. And you can see that Newsom really took a lot. But what's interesting here is Newsom did not get to the number that he had before, which is 66%. He fell short of that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in November. But when you start looking at this is different than the polls, where if you can see that, you know, Brian actually did much better than we thought the polls were going to do. Let's go to the next screen here, because we're going to go through this as quick as we can here. A lieutenant governor, you know, the lieutenant governor's the one seat up there that's the do-nothing seat. You only do something if the governor dies. So, but you can see the two races here are very, very interesting. It's the Democratic race with it was pretty much overwhelmingly knocked out. And so I don't see this actually changing either in November. I think this is pretty solid. Let's go ahead and go to the next screen. The controller. Now this one is interesting because this one is changed a little bit here tonight. What we had is Cohen was actually doing very, very well. And Lanley Chan, it was not there. Now you can see it's totally flipped around. So we'll see what happens here. But I would say that it's definitely solid that these two will be the two that will be on the November ballot. Now the question is what will happen here. Now many times in the past we've seen different races that, for example, where the people make a decision to put a Republican like for control. Now the previous two have not been that way, but we have seen that in the past. Let's go ahead and go to the next screen. Treasure. Now this one's kind of interesting too, because we have two races here. We have Fong Ma. It's overwhelmingly, I don't see this is going to change much, but what you do is you start looking at that the Republican seats there that are listed there, they end up very, very, very close to the Democratic seats. So now we'll see what this is, but it's pretty much solid that those two seats will be the ones that'll go through. It'll be Lafana and Jack would definitely be the two. Let's go into the next screen here. Attorney General, you know, this one always seems to be one that's been held by a Democrat for many, many years going to the past there. And obviously you can see right here now it's going to be a tough race. But if you add up the Republicans that are left over, it gets you there, but doesn't quite get you enough there. So I think this is one we'll definitely see those two seats. It was interesting because what we saw was Eric Early was doing very, very well. And then he started to back off, and we're starting to see this other trend here. I don't know where we're going to actually end up on this one, but my prediction is it's still solid. The two green X's, I think those will be what will be on the November ballot. So let's go to the next screen here. Insurance Commissioner. This is one of those races people say, what is the Insurance Commissioner? This is something that was created a while back just to try to make sure insurance rates weren't going all nuts here. This is interesting because it's pretty obviously that Ricardo Laura is going to be the number one. But now look at below there, you have two Republicans and a Democrat. They're all fighting for that position there. I think this one's way too close to call. This one, matter of fact, could take days to actually figure out. And we'll keep you up to date with what happens with it. But this one's going to take a while probably to figure out. Let's go to the next screen here. So this is the State Board of Equalization. A lot of people don't know what the State Board of Equalization does. They're pretty much what they do is it's our taxes and making sure that you're being taxed fairly. It's as far as sales tax and that kind of stuff. This will be interesting where this one ends up here, because it's pretty obvious that Tony at the top there is definitely got the foothold on everything. But it'll be interesting to see what happens to the other seats. They're all too close to call at this point here. So we'll have to watch this one very carefully and see what this one turns into. This is for District 1. So I think this is wrong for District 1. Can you go to the next screen? Too far. Go back to District. So I don't think this is the right chart on this one here. We're going to have to go back and look at this, because this is not the correct information on this. So ignore the screen. We'll have to fix this one in the future here. There's too much data for us to go. Let's go and go to the next screen here. The senator seats, this is for the full term. This will be from starting from next January when they get sworn in for the next 6 years. Right now we have Alex and Mark are both holding in there. These will be the two that will be on there. It's going to be a tough uphill battle for Mark to do there. It's going to take a lot of work for him to catch up, 1,300 or 1.3 million votes. So this is going to be a tough one for him to be able to flip. I'm not sure if he can do it or not, but I tell you what, this guy, I've met him many times. I've even interviewed him. He's got more energy than you imagine. So as far as energy, he's got that. So we'll see what he can actually do, but it's going to be a tough uphill battle. Let's go and go to the next one, which is actually the short term. Now the short term is finished, because that's just to finish the few months that are coming up here between now and actually January, really. So it's Alex, actually got that. It was no question at all. Let's go to the next one, next screen here. Now we're getting into the state representatives. This is one we've been following here. I went back and forth because I was starting to look at the numbers, because San Bernardino County is reporting so late here, but I don't think there's going to be enough for Blanca Gomez to catch up with Derek. I think the trending is remember, as each one moves up, they kind of move up together. So for example, as they're moving up, if Blanca needs to move up, she has to catch up more votes even to catch him. I think this one here is kind of settled. Is it a chance that Blanca could flip around because there's so many votes we don't see out there still? Yes, it is. But I think we're pretty solid that we can call this with both of these, with Derek and Jay will be in November. Let's move on to the next one, the 28th. This one here is pretty much set to between Judy and Wes. I think this will be exactly what we'll see on the ballot in the fall here. It's going to be an uphill battle for West actually to do stuff, but I think he's got a lot of energy. Let's see if he can do it, but this is going to be a real tough one. Let's move on to the next screen here. Now we're getting into the assembly districts. So this has been interesting tonight, because for a long time there we were thinking that Rita Ramirez could actually say, that she had that. Well, now we're seeing the whole thing flip around. If you notice that Tom Lackey has moved ahead of Ramirez, and now the question is can Smitty move up? Now, a lot of people were predicting that it would be two Republicans that would be going at it for this next fall here. It's very possible we could trend that way. The San Bernardino ballots have not been counted yet, and they won't be. We'll see what the next batch is at 4 o'clock, but I don't know what's going on down at the Register of Voters office, but they're way behind from what we can see there. And that's the reason we had to put a question mark on all three there. So this is still a race that can go almost anywhere. It's just within a few margins. And like I said, the biggest thing is, remember, Tom Lackey is over there in the Lancaster-Palmdale area. All those votes, a lot of those votes have been counted already. So that's his area. Smitty's area, and also in Rita's area, is over on this side of the valley.